Hey guys, just a quick video on test taking strategy for any test really. This is for the NCARB ARE exams, and it's the things that have worked for me to get beyond things that could actually make you fail a test because of you might be nervous or you may not be good at test taking. So hopefully these will set you up to be in better position when you go and sit for the exam. So first thing is the timing, the timing of the test day. So whether you want to take the test in the morning or whether you want to take it in the afternoon is completely up to you. What I've learned is that you don't want to be doing things all morning. Maybe you make a doctor's appointment that day or you have an errand to run and then you go and show up for the exam because your mind is not clear anymore. You want to show up for these tests with a clear, rested mind. So if you set it up for the morning, make sure you're a morning person, make sure you have a good breakfast, make sure you drink your coffee if you're a coffee drinker, that sort of thing. If you set it up for the afternoon, then take advantage, sleep in, have a really nice lunch before the test, but treat yourself well before you sit for this exam. Don't go running around doing a bunch of things and then try to take this exam because it's a tough one and you will not be in the best shape to sit for it. So whether you do it for a Monday or a Friday is completely up to you. It depends on your work schedule. It depends on your family schedule. So do what works for you, what you know works best. Setting it up for a Friday means that you are going to have to crank as much as you can during the week and studying around your work hours. Setting it up for a Monday means that you're going to be able to rest on the weekend, or you may have more time to study. So that's really up to you. I don't think the day is quite as important as what you do before you sit for that test. So once you're there and you hit to start the exam, it's that first question shock. And maybe that only happens to me, maybe it happens to other people, but it's that shock of the first question being something that completely looks like you don't know what they're talking about. So if that happens to you on that first question, just skip it, mark it, go to the second question. And if the second question has the same effect, then go to the third. And if you're 3 questions in and you're still in shock, then maybe take a quick breather and just realize that you need to refresh your mind, because you're going to be asked things that you're not expecting to see on the test. Okay, so that's normal, but the first question shock could be very normal for some people. Just move through it. Don't let yourself dwell on that first question because of that. So next thing is, when you look at any question, remember that you've studied a lot. You studied a lot of different material preparing for this test. And so the first thing that I do that works is I do process of elimination. So process of elimination means that I eliminate 2 of the answers that I know don't make sense. And there's 2 things that eliminate a question. The easy one is if the question right away is the wrong answer, okay? The one that I've learned to do over time is read the question again and see what it is that does not fit the question. So if it's a cost question and the one of the answers is obviously very expensive or an expensive solution, then that's eliminated by the question, not because it's a wrong answer as far as materials and the things you've studied are concerned, but it's the wrong answer because it's not addressing every piece of the question. So to eliminate, you've really got to reread that question. And that goes to my next thing, which is keywords. So look for keywords which talk about what is most often, what is more likely, what is, those things that sort of make the question a little bit more specific of what the right answer is. Because a big mistake you can make is you read through the question quickly and you see an answer that looks correct, but it may not quite fit what that keyword is asking. The keyword may be always, sometimes, those things that make it ambiguous for an answer. So I find that when I eliminate answers, I come up with two that I can't quite make up my mind about. Okay, so I usually can eliminate two answers, but then I'm stuck on the other two. And that's where reading the question carefully really comes in. So something that has worked for me in test taking is that I have looked at, okay, of these two answers, which one am I more familiar with? Which of these two answers resonate with the things I've studied? And which one does not? Because what can happen during a test is all of a sudden you have an answer thrown in there that you've never heard of. So you say, oh my God, why didn't I study this? Why wasn't I ready? Why? I've got to make my vocabulary bigger, all this stuff. So yes, that's true. There's going to be questions on things that you just have not come across in your career, you've not come across in your experience in school, and they're going to be the right answer, but more likely than not, at least if you're a very experienced person and you've been studying for a while, you can pretty much say, okay, let's say you've studied the MEB book in HVAC and you've gone through it 3 and 4 times, like I have, and you've studied all the diagrams, and then all of a sudden there's this type of air conditioner mentioned in there that you just never heard of. So you've got to trust yourself somewhat. If you've never heard of it, if it's an answer that sounds like it's technically is something complicated that could be, I used to say, wow, that's something I missed before, so that must be the right answer. No, not necessarily. So trust your studying, trust your knowledge. That's a big piece right there. Trust the knowledge you have, that you've gained experience over time. If you're somebody who's been studying for a long time, or you've studied a particular material thoroughly, trust what you already know. Don't think that you missed stuff, because when you study things, whether you study the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines, whether you study the practice, the professional practice handbook, things like that, and you've studied certain parts of it, and the question is based on one of those things, you're then going to get thrown answers that seem like something you missed. So be ready for that. All right. And then, just to kind of recap. So first thing is schedule yourself in a way that you're set up to succeed. Okay. Don't schedule yourself around chaotic time frames. Number 2, work through the shock of a question. I do breathing exercises when I start seeing that I'm not, I start sort of struggling with answers. Breathing exercise, just take a deep breath. One thing I forgot to mention, when you take your break, you can take your break anytime now. So take a break. I like to take a break when I feel good. I don't like to take a break when I'm stressing out. I like to say, okay, let me sit through this. Let me feel a little bit better about my test so far. And then I go and I take a nice break and clear my mind. Third thing was the way you process of elimination on questions. That's a very basic thing. Trust your gut, okay? And trust that you are familiar with the subject that you studied. You've got to trust yourself in that and your experience. Number 4, huge one from the very beginning of test taking is look for those keywords. Look for those things that are meant to turn a negative into a positive in a question, because they're there. And we're also being tested on your ability to be very thorough and very careful in reading things. And number 5, just good luck, guys. And I hope this was helpful. And for those of you taking the exam in the next couple of days, let me know how it goes. I'd be happy to know if this helped you out. Thanks. Bye.